you done now?
Getting there. And Mr. Body went to get his surprise packages from the hall. And you all opened your presents. Mr. Body switched out the lights. Ah!
Oh, grand.
Mr. Body lay on the floor, apparently dead.
He was dead. I examined him.
Then why was he bashed on the head a few minutes later with a candlestick if he was dead already?
All right, I made a mistake.
Right. But if so, why was Mr. Body pretending to be dead? It could only be because he realized that his scheme had misfired and the gunshot was intended to kill him, not me. Look, the bullet grazed his ear. Clearly his best hope of escaping death was to pretend to be dead already.
So whoever grabbed the gun from me in the dark was trying to kill him.
But remember what happened next. Mrs. Peacock took a drink. You said, maybe it's poisoned. She screamed. Mr. Green, Mr. Green. Well, I had to stop her screaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clue the Movie Podcast, where we break down the 1985 cult classic movie Clue, 1 minute at a time, one glorious minute at a time. My name is Brad Gilmore. I'm joined by the General Jeff Smith, Coco B. Jeff, as he said.
Always a different wrestling name.
Always a different 80s wrestling star. Jeff, how are you?
Oh, excellent. Been looking forward to jumping back into the insanity of Tim Curry and all this. We did get, I want to just throw this out real quick. More than one person kind of did a correction on us from last time when Tim Curry runs into the dining room and said, and we noticed, ooh, that chair is out of the way. Yeah, we're dumb. Everybody pointed out, including super fan Ben Ripley, that Colonel Mustard moves that chair in a previous scene and then bumps his head on the table. It's kind of a big moment that everyone else in the Clueniverse knew. And we just had a moment of, why'd the chair get moved? And they're like, because Mustard moved it, dummies. And I added the dummies. They didn't say that. They're all very nice. But
let me ask you though, because I saw that too, and I was going to call it out if you didn't, and I'm glad that you didn't. But let me ask you, because what I feel like is, as much as you do notice watching minute by minute, you also almost instantaneously forget what happened in like minutes prior. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes we'll do this show for people who don't know, a little behind the curtain. We'll record, 2 or 3 maybe at a time, and then a couple weeks go by, and then we're like, hey, let's do another couple, and that's how we do it. And so during that time, you kind of forgot what just happened. And then
right.
I'm sure you've heard me throughout the thing. I'm like, hey, wait, did we already seen? Wait, did it happen? I can't, because
sometimes that happens when we are doing it even at once a week, minute by minute. But it's true. It's especially if it's a movie you've seen a bunch of times. It's very easy in this structure to forget what has come and what is about to come, which is why speaking for myself, I know I jump way ahead to the end a lot because I know what's coming, but if you ask me what was in minute 45, I have no idea. I can't remember. So totally get it, but that's all right.
Yeah, but Mustard definitely moves the chair in the dining room, and that's why it is askew when we see it later with Tim Curry. Here's the thing. Last week, I think it was, we talked about how in the script, or maybe it was the week before, it was a tour de force was how it was labeled in the script. Right.
It was described before it was even filmed that it was going to be a tour de force.
And it was very specific. And Jonathan Lynn, I'm always like, sometimes I'm really surprised by how detailed screenplays are, especially in early drafts. Like I know when you get to final draft, it's pretty much what you see in the movie, but things change, a lot. And I'm always impressed when you read an initial draft of a movie like Clue, how well visually thought out it is. Because I think a lot of people, when they hear screenplay, or you know what? Honestly, they don't hear screenplay a lot. Like, what do you hear a lot in actor interviews? Oh, the script. When I got the script. And when you hear the word script, you think, oh, the dialogue of the scene, right? And very few people, I think, ever have actually looked at a screenplay or read a screenplay and see interior, fade in, and then the action moments, close up, this, and then the way that it's actually done. And oftentimes I'm very pleasantly surprised when I read through one of a well-known movie or a movie I know really well, like Back to the Future or Clue or whatever, or Fletch, like how accurate it is from script to screen or from
Yeah.
screenplay to screen.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people think just the dialogue and don't think about how a lot of times the script, how a performance is done, is written as well. So I've seen movies where the actor gets huge kudos for their performance, and then I go back and read the script and I think, oh well, he was basically told do it exactly like this. And to their credit, they did do it that well, but it wasn't like I think the actor gets a lot of credit for just making it up on the spot, like they were just given this block of letters, like the letters that you stick on your magnet to create, or your refrigerator to make words out of magnets, and they just go, now I am the Joker. But I think that, the writers don't get enough credit for it being totally, in some ways, really spelled out. And then in other ways, you could look at a script and then look at the performance and go, wow, they went totally off on that, and it's nothing. And that could be like a Jim Carrey, like in the '90s Jim Carrey kind of performance, or I'm sure like original versions of Beverly Hills Cop before it was Eddie Murphy, where the Axel character was, when it wasn't Axel, was totally different. That's fun. And what I also appreciate about the Clue script is in film school, you're always taught when you're writing a script to just write what's on the screen, write what you can see, no extra fluff. It's not, the script is not written to be read. It's written to be interpreted, to be performed. So I do like it when you see a script. I just saw the script for the original Muppet movie.
Okay.
And on the very first page of the Muppet movie, it flat out says, in our regular world, this paraphrase, of course, in our regular world, it would be strange for us to walk into a restaurant and see a dog and a chicken sitting at a table, having dinner. In this world, no one looks twice. The Muppets blend in with just everybody else, and that's the world we're creating. And then the movie begins. So to have this section where it's, here's your tour de force, and it's on, 3 times faster than you can expect, and it may read slow, but don't let that bother you. It's not going to be that way. It's very fun and very like anti-film school as far as what to put in there. But I like that. I think people like Tarantino do that, where they just write whatever they want and just, this is something fun in the script for the reader to kind of wake up. So it's not just, Brad enters. Brad, hello everyone, and welcome to the Clue Movie Podcast. Jeff sits and waits for his turn. In the script,
right? And to me, this one though, when we've read through drafts of the script, I am pleasantly surprised, really, how true to the way it was written the performances are. Because again, you also, like you said, sometimes you hear of actors, whether that be, I think you were making an allusion to Joaquin Phoenix, maybe in his Joker movie, or perhaps, I don't know if that's what you were referencing, but sometimes you hear, hey, this guy brought a lot to the role, or the actor has ideas, or hey, can we go this direction? I want him to have this tattoo, or I want the character to have a limp, or there's a, have you ever heard, what was the name of the movie? Seth Rogen, Cameron Diaz, Green Hornet. Have you ever heard Seth Rogen talk about Green Hornet?
Yeah. I don't think so. No.
So Christoph Waltz plays the bad guy in the movie, right? Great choice. But the original bad guy was going to be played by Nicolas Cage. And they offer the role to Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage says, yeah, come on over, let's talk about it. I have ideas for the role.
I was going to say, this is going to be a twist if they offer Nicolas Cage a part and he said, no, thank you.
So
I don't think that happens.
They go over to Nicolas Cage's house, I guess, and they're having a conversation with him, and they're wondering, what does he want to bring to the role? Because he read the script, loves the script, but he wants to make the character a white Jamaican with dreadlocks and like a really bohemian vibe and have an accent and the whole 9 yards. So sometimes an actor brings his own interpretation to the role, and it cost him a job. But
John Candy in Ghostbusters was originally going to play the Rick Moranis part,
right?
And he had a lot of weird ideas that they just went, not gonna happen. So yeah, I think that happens. That Nicolas Cage idea for Green Hornet sounds a lot like Gary Oldman in True Romance, though. So that's
Oh,
already
yeah.
kind of been done.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because you're an 80s guy, and I want to get into this minute in just a second, but there's a couple things I want to run by you. We are on the weekend of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, release of a new Ghostbusters movie. Have you seen it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Going tomorrow.
You're going tomorrow. How
Yeah.
are we feeling overall? Like, are you excited?
I am cautiously excited. I was not. I liked Afterlife,
Mm.
ish, but I feel like I've been burned already. So I will go in with a very low expectations and just along for the ride.
Interesting. So I will say Ghostbusters 1, untouchable, in my opinion,
Yeah.
right? It's like phenomenal, tour de force, to use that word again, phrase. Ghostbusters 2, I like. I think it scares me a little bit more than the first one does. Like, what's his name? Igor? No, what's the guy's name?
Oh, Vigo.
Vigo actually frightens me. Like, I'm like,
Sure.
when I was a kid, I would sometimes fast forward on the VCR on his parts because I was
Get
actually
past the when his head like comes through the painting, or when he takes on Janusz.
It was very frightening. But your movie, okay. I like, not love. Like Ghostbusters 1, love. This one, like Ghostbusters Answer the Call, I think is how it's been, is objectively a pretty bad movie. And it has nothing to do with actually, I think that all the women who were in it were cast right. Like, if I'm going to recast Ghostbusters with an all-female cast, and I need to find comedians to do it, I think it's perfectly cast. If you want to do gender swap with the secretary role and give it to Chris Hemsworth, all the casting was good. The movie just wasn't. Like, I did not enjoy the movie at all.
No, it was a mess.
And to me, where they made a fatal error as well, there's several places, but one, you gender swap, that's fine. I would have liked for them to do it more in the vein of Afterlife, to where it's like Ghostbusters already exists. It's a real thing already. We're picking up the mantle, and they could do something like, there was a relation there one time and they're starting a franchise, whatever. They could have figured it out. I didn't love that it was brand new and that you cast the main 3 Ghostbusters in like these weird roles or whatever. Or was Ernie Hudson in that one?
They all showed up for cameos.
I know Dan and Bill. I don't remember Ernie being in it.
Ernie did.
Was he a taxi cab driver or something? Or
no, that was Dan Aykroyd.
I don't
remember what Ernie Hudson did. I only saw that movie once.
I saw it once as well.
Andy Potts, I think, pops up. Sigourney Weaver, I think, pops up. Rick Moranis doesn't because he's gone. I mean, he's not dead, but he just doesn't pop up. That's funny you mentioned that, because I was watching there's been a lot of Ghostbusters things popping up on YouTube, and I saw something where Kate McKinnon, who I think is the freaking all-star.
Oh, she's great.
Went up to the director, Paul Feig, and went, I really don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, don't worry. Trust me. I got it. And because he was just, letting them go. There's a lot of clips where they're bragging about how, like, I think the crew was going to kill us because we were just doing these long takes where it was just going nowhere. And thinking, okay, you're saying that like it's a good thing. And if the crew wants to kill you, it's not like in the end they're going to go, you were right, Paul. It wasn't, it's fine to do a movie like that, but I don't think they should have done that with Ghostbusters.
Was there a lot of improv in the original Ghostbusters?
I'm sure there was. Yeah, you can tell there's short improv. There's not long scenes about a lack of wontons in the delivery food. Like, if you look at the Ghostbusters, the very first scene where they arrive for the very first job, where they're going to the hotel, and the studio hotel guy like gets them at the door, and they're doing that walk and talk as they walk through the lobby. Bill Murray looks like he's just messing with them, because he keeps like, every time the guy says, the owners have known about it for years, and Bill Murray goes, yep, don't worry, it's done. He keeps like just saying these little things as he's going. It feels like it's like 3 a.m. and they're just loopy at this point, and Bill Murray's just like, yep, we got it. And it just feels very natural. And I think Bill Murray especially, I think, is improvising a lot in Ghostbusters, but it's not long, scenes like Answer the Call.
Yeah, so Answer the Call, I remember watching it, and then actually, I think in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, hey, this is actually kind of, I'm liking where this is going, the first 10 minutes. And then after that, it was just off a cliff for me, off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then Afterlife comes out. And I went in very trepidatious because I'm like, man, I don't know. I felt like they sullied it a little bit with my excitement for Ghostbusters with Answer the Call. And then I got to be honest with you, man. I loved Afterlife. I loved it. I thought it was so fun. And, I mean, I liked the young cast, which is always hard to pull off in movies. I liked it, where they went with the villain. There were some things that, if I nitpick, there's some nitpicks I have, obviously. But I think that, the way that they paid homage to Harold Ramis, and it's for me at least, and maybe I'm just a sucker, but when Ghost Harold Ramis comes in and, they're defeating, the ghost at the end, I got a little emotional, man. I did. I got a little emotional to see them together.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Good,
it looked great.
Very convincing. I didn't mind all that. I just thought they didn't need the original cast. When the original cast kind of came out of the cornfield at the end, out of nowhere, and they're in their suits that I thought that they didn't have anymore, they're just like, "Hey, we're here to help too." I'm like, "Yeah, we're good. We've done this entire movie without you.
I
we
agree
don't
with
really
that.
need you." It just felt very tacked on. So when I go in to see Frozen Empire, I know that some of them are in it more than others, but hopefully they serve more of a purpose than Remember Us.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I like the thing I like the most about what I know of Frozen Empire is I do like that Ernie Hudson is like a central figure in this new Ghostbusters world, because to me, Winston was always kind of a periphery character definitely in the first one, because he shows up later on. I mean, he's not even on like some of the posters of the first
he's always
one.
cropped.
He's always cropped out. But in the second one, he's still not like he never felt to me like he's one of the gang. And maybe he was supposed to. Maybe he was supposed to not.
In the cartoon, they used him well when it was Arsenio Hall doing the voice. But yeah, even in 2, in the courtroom scene, he's not there.
No.
Like, he pops up and goes, "Hey," and then he goes away. Like he's out of there. Even when they fight the ghost in the court, he doesn't help.
No. It's just I don't know. I feel like they never gave my man Ernie his just due, but I like that he's now like a billionaire or something.
Yeah.
And
of all of them, he's the most successful.
Yeah.
And I think because Ernie Hudson, as an actor, that has been, he does the conventions and he, does a lot of fan things for Ghostbusters fans. He's very accessible. I think it's kind of like he earned his spot now as the main Ghostbuster.
Whereas you always heard like Bill Murray would get a script for Ghostbusters 3 and then send it back shredded or whatever,
right?
And things
Which
like
is
that.
A cool move.
It's just a very Bill Murray move, though. If knowing what we know. But I wanted to talk about this particular scene of this minute of Clue the movie, because a couple things stood out. I love, again, this is Tim Curryisms, and I want to talk about Tim Curry a little bit more. But one thing that did stand out that I have questions on is Professor Plum says something to the effect, "I checked him, he was dead, and then Tim Curry goes, "Well, no, he wasn't dead, and then Professor Plum was like, "Oh yeah, I made a mistake," like almost instantly, just gives up the bit. Oh, I checked him, he was dead. Well, no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah, great Scott, you're right.
Why did he just roll over so quickly? I really don't understand it. I don't get why he would. Oh, I made a mistake.
Well, I mean, Mr. Body didn't get up and leave, as far as they know. So I guess they don't know that he got up and left. Somebody could have moved him, but if you think back to that scene where he does check, he just kind of leans over him. It's not the best. I think he's just hoping that everybody's gonna move on and go, "Oh yeah, well, whoops." And then I do like, and maybe you're going to say this too. I like when Professor Plum throws out his theory. So whoever grabbed my gun in the dark was a blah 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 blah. And Wadsworth doesn't go, yes, that's correct. He just goes, he just moves on. Like, I will not give you any like positive reinforcement on that theory because it might be in one of these endings BS.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. What I also liked is
No gaslighting for Wadsworth.
what I also liked is this scene shows, at least for the moment, like situationally intelligent Mr. Body was, because he gets clipped in the ear and then just like, you know what, let me just play dead because maybe I can get out of this.
Do you think it was hard for him to lay there after being grazed in the ear by a bullet? That can't feel good.
Well, here's the thing. Lee Ving's portrayal of Mr. Body seems like a guy who might have been shot or stabbed before.
Yeah.
Like this wouldn't
It
be his
probably
first foray.
Yeah, he probably has been shot and went, is that the best you got? In
Like,
somebody else's voice.
you remember, oh, you know, it's actually timely because the remake just came out. You remember in Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze, by the way, Houstonian. Shout out to Patrick Swayze. Always got to shout out my H-Town people. In like the very beginning scene where he's working at the first bar, he gets into it with a guy, and the guy takes a knife out and just cuts him in the arm. Okay, almost stabs him in the arm, like in the upper shoulder. And he's like not fazed by it at all, and then just like stitches himself up. Like I feel like that's the kind of energy Mr. Body was bringing to the bullet graze.
Yeah.
Like just how it's
Mr.
happened
Body's
before.
backstory. Do you think Mr. Body used to be like a bouncer
I could see Mr. Body being a bouncer.
growing up, and then like that's how he got into crime, and then worked his way up to Mr. Body?
It's very possible. But let me ask you this, because this is in the mid-50s. I mean, there were nightclubs, sure, right? But more like juke joint. Or this isn't juke joint time. This is a little after juke joint. This isn't speakeasy time.
After Speakeasy.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess they were nightclubs, and then were nightclubs then where people got into mischief? Yes, but did they get into criminal mischief? I'm sure.
Sure.
And then did they? But like, were there a lot of barroom brawls? I don't know.
He looks like a brawler.
He definitely looks like a dirty brawler.
Yeah, well, if you've seen any footage of Lee Ving and his band Fear, they like to fight on stage. So, and he'll fight. He does not discriminate against gender. He'll fight anyone.
Oh my lord.
Which is good.
I was not aware of that. But
Oh yeah,
well, you know, I guess whatever.
rock man.
It's, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever been okay.
No, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if there was anything, but he definitely was street smart. Let's just say that he was street smart. This Mr. Body to lay there and to allow it to happen. Now, with Tim Curry, he is on full 10 cups of coffee right now. He's on that level of energy. The lights go out, which I love. Everyone screams, wakes up, he's on the floor, pops right back up. Good comedic moment. Then starts screaming with Miss Peacock, which makes her want to scream again, and then smacks the taste out of her mouth and does the impression of Mr. Green pretty well. I mean, this is right now. This movie is the Tim Curry show, right?
It's a pretty good impression of Mr. Green, considering there's a theory that Wadsworth isn't even in the room when that scene happened, because that's the scene at the beginning of the movie where Wadsworth disappears. And I'm going to sneeze.
That's all right. Oh, boom. There we go. See, I covered it up.
Yes, you did. That's the scene where he's gone through the whole thing when they're standing over Mr. Body's body. So either he did leave, and this is impressive that he knows what happened, or he just was off camera, and for some reason we never saw him, and he didn't feel the need to talk in at all during that scene when they found Mr. Body.
It could very well be, you know. It's very interesting, this whole reenactment. Now, I feel like we can talk more about this, I think maybe in the next minute, because I want to talk about Tim Curry, and I want to talk about other things that we might know Tim Curry from. And this, and I say that because this isn't just a one-off incredible performance. Tim Curry was pretty much great in everything that he was in.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk more about it, but I feel like we should talk more next week about it. Is that fine with you?
That's fine with me. And I also want to tease. I got an email from listener John Van Sant, who has another interesting observation about our favorite bumbling, dumb cop.
Oh, well,
Yes.
I'm very interested in that.
Officer Bill.
Officer
There's
Bill.
another thought of like, why this? And made me say, that's another very good point.
Well, we're gonna get into Officer Bill.
Another layer to Officer Bill. Officer Bill may be dead in the movie, but not on the Clue the Movie podcast.
He lives on.
Stumbling upon things to bring up about what is up with Officer Bill.
What is going on with Bill? I mean, what is the deal with Bill? He's here,
Bill.
he's dead, he's not. Is he a cop? We don't know.
Why are you joking about murder?
Murder's not funny. It's not funny. Is it funny? Is this funny to you?
Leave the joke in. It's kind of funny.
Okay, we'll be back. That's Jeff Smith. I'm Brad Gilmore. We'll be back next week with more Clue the Movie Podcast Minute 72.
Hurry up, tape running out.